Welcome to the Nuff Said podcast. We are talking season 2, episode 10, the final episode of Agent Carter, Hollywood ending. And I hope so. I hope we're out of Hollywood after this, even though it doesn't look like we are. So I'm one of your hosts. I'm Rob Southgate. With me,
Jack Wengrosky.
That was a pregnant pause. And
Alil Kunica. And one question, was the ending happy?
What the hell does that mean?
Was it a happy ending for Peggy Carter?
Oh, yes.
Why? Because we got season 3.
Okay, so yeah, that's not official yet, though, right?
It is official. They announced it today.
No, they didn't. I was just on again. There's been speculation, but they said it looks like it's likely happening. Is it? So you said it is official.
From what I've read, yes.
All right. I actually looked it up. I've been trying to watch this all day. And everything is kind of like, no, insiders are saying it's going to happen, but I haven't seen an official. Let's go with that. You heard it here first, folks, or at least I did. Season 3 is going to happen. I'm glad. I ended up really enjoying it by the end.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the ending, at least I was not happy with the season as it was going. These last 3 episodes actually, picked it up.
Yeah.
And it told a good story at the end. At the end of the day, I enjoyed myself. That last episode was real fun, and there was real danger and drama going on. Even though some of it was a little hokey, but it was still good.
Yeah. Well, you know what? What I want to point out is the way it ended. The tag after we saw her kissing Limpy. I don't remember what his name is. When we saw that tag at the end and what's his name got killed? Jack got shot. How could I not know the name Jack?
For real.
Yeah. When Jack got killed, totally the vibe of it, the way that played out, I was like, this is what we were saying all season. That's the film noir feel it's supposed to have. But I do like the tone. Like they struck a much better tone in the last 3 episodes. Even though, like you said, it got a little hokey, I was okay with it. I thought but that last moment, I was like, that's what we need next season to be. Although it looks like they're going to stay in California.
Yeah, at the very end, they pulled out, hey, you kind of like it here, don't you?
Yeah.
I thought that was like very odd. And the other thing I thought was very odd was the chief from New York. What's his name?
Jack? Is it Jack?
No, that's not Jack, is it?
Yeah, it's the one who got
Jack
shot.
Was the oh yeah, he did get shot, didn't he?
Yes.
I thought his turnaround was like almost miraculous.
What do you mean?
Like, he was like, for the last 2 episodes, even for a while, Jack was kind of the bad guy.
Well,
he wasn't the big bad, but he was kind of a little bad. And then all of a sudden, he was like one of the team again.
Well, he was getting suckered into being a bad guy. She even called it, and she gave him his redemption when she said, I'm not going to report you. You're not a bad guy. You were just like ambitious, and it's the problem here. I thought that whole thing played out well. I also think like this is the first episode where I didn't feel like I couldn't stand that Manfredini guy. I thought he was
right. They actually seemed to tone him down a little bit.
Okay, you know what? For me, what the best part of this final episode was, thank God Howard Stark was back. Howard Stark made this episode. It was hilarious when he was on, although it added intrigue. I mean, I loved everything about it. When he had Peggy and he was holding on when they were pulling the thing, and he's like, Peg, I want you to know I'm not thinking any unsavory thoughts about you right now. Oh, wait, there's one.
And now I am.
That was the best. Man.
That was good, and that's I'm hoping that if it does, which again I'm looking, it was nerdreactor.com said that they had insider information through ABC, but
right.
I mean, who knows?
Well, that was the thing that broke yesterday, and I tweeted that out. But I have not seen an official statement. I haven't seen it on any of the sites I normally look at. But I think that once again, we always say where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm sure it's going to happen. Disney wants to keep this going, and they own ABC, so it's a done deal, I think.
Right, and I don't think it's a show that costs them a lot of money to do,
especially now that they have it in California.
Possibly, but here's the funny thing about this episode. I didn't care for Madame Mask. They didn't even call her Madame Mask yet, which was kind of disappointing. Like, there was no mask. So, like, is Whitney Madame Mask? I don't know.
I don't think she is. Didn't you call that, though, a while ago? Didn't you say, they kind of do this. They give you characters. It's maybe not even the character.
Right.
We were convinced it was Madame Mask, but now I'm not so sure. I'm thinking maybe.
Well, the only thing I'm thinking maybe is like an origin for her is because like she clawed her face up, so she'll never be Whitney Frost. Like
That's true.
Actress Whitney Frost again. So maybe she'll when she's out of prison, out of the psych ward, wherever they put her.
Also that moment was one of the best moments of the season when you had the revelation that she was in the psych ward and her face was all chewed up. And then Manfredini, whatever his name is, shows up, and the guy goes, the orderly, yeah, you can't take those in there. She'll rip her face open with those. It's like, oh my gosh. How about his look when he walked in there?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's really good.
If I was him, I'd be pretty upset. I mean, like, she was, like, talking to her ex-husband, like, the whole time. Like,
yeah. But did he hear that yet?
I don't know.
And do you think she's going to be back? Do you think they'll just kind of let this happen and go on? Or do you think that now the big bad is going to be Madame Mask? And, I think they're better off letting her just rot in that cell.
Well, she would be somebody good to bring back for a season 4.
Yeah, down the line.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, and the only thing I'm really disappointed about is I really thought that they should have had. I know they wanted to keep it like mysterious and who shot Jack, but it should have been Dottie, and it should have just. Yes. Plain and simple, been Dottie.
That would have been fantastic. And it was definitely a guy, though. It was definitely a guy. But it was a guy that he knew because of the face he made. I watched it again. He makes a face when he opens the door, like recognition. Then you see the gun come out and bam. And I love how they showed.
What if it's Red? We didn't see Red die.
You think? We didn't see him die.
There was no body. They just assumed that
he was in the room with the explosion. And we know that Frost and Wilkes survived. So
and he took the file. He was there for the file.
Plus, I do like the intrigue of what does that key open? I like the key.
Yeah, I think what happened was they had to set up really what's going on in the future. So they brought back Howard. They've got this storyline with the key. There was a lot of little setups if you paid attention to those. Things
I think
that
there were too.
Really
Well, I also think that they left it in a way that if this was the end of the Peggy Carter series, I'd still be okay. Now, I mean, I don't want it to be, but I'd be okay because they resolved enough of the story, and I feel like the things that they planted, we could get those answers in other ways through other Marvel properties. Like they're threads that they could come back to. But if they give it to us in a Peggy Carter series, I'm even happier.
Right. Well, Wilkes didn't survive the blast. Wilkes was the cause of the blast. And the outcome of that is
but it looks like he blew up, man.
Did it? Well, he blew out. No, he blew out. All the dark matter that was inside went out. So the result of that is Wilkes is back to normal. Yes. Wilkes is Wilkes again. Whitney lost all of the dark matter, so she's just a nutcase. And like you say, if you end it there, her character's resolved. And we could just leave Peggy in California. She's with, she wound up kissing with Sousa, and so you could possibly leave it there. But man, they left so many things for the next 10. It's like wow. I really hope they do something with it, but it could have ended there.
Yeah. I really like the ending. I thought that this was effective. It left me wanting more, but I would, once again, if it's canceled, I'd be satisfied with where we ended.
Yeah. I was really surprised that the Wilkes and Agent Carter thing was so hot and heavy, the romance thing, and man, it dropped so hard. And at the very end, they were just like, yeah, it's just not a great idea. Like the friend zone thing kind of popped out.
Well, I mean, he did point a gun at her. I mean,
right?
Yeah, but
he's not getting over
that. Happens.
She's not getting over it.
That happens to Peggy all the time. I mean, Peggy would never date if that was a killer. I'm just saying, she does attract attention.
And I'm not thinking any unsavory thoughts about her right now. Oh, wait, there's one.
Man, I really love when Manfredi comes to the table and they're like, Jarvis, back to the little
Oh, and he had the
clown thingy,
condiments.
yeah. Let Jarvis put down the condiments.
Put the mustard. Let him put the mustard down.
That was
really great. It was great, Poupon.
That was really played well too, because I kind of thought that was where it was going when he came in with him. I thought, why is he walking into Stark's place like this? I went, he's gonna know him, but it still played out in a way that I thought it was funny. I had a good time with that.
I just didn't think like he would be a Stark friend for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, I totally
did.
Well, it's not. I don't think he's a Stark friend. I think they're just, they run in similar circles because they both have money and power.
Right.
Back. You're talking about back in the the 40s and 50s when gangsters and stuff. They did kind of rub elbows with the high society types, especially somebody like Tony Stark, who would be out finagling all the women he can.
Right. Well, and not just the women, also big business, because those guys, they controlled the mob controlled all the contacts, the ports, the hotels, the entertainment, everything.
Right.
He definitely would have had run-ins with him, but maybe not as comrades, but he definitely would have had dealings with him. So I thought that worked out great.
Yeah, I like that. They would have had a friendly relationship in that sense. That was fun when he's bringing up like that he likes crazy girls and stuff like that. That's fun.
Yeah,
it was, and it was such a far cry from just a couple episodes where we were complaining so bad about Manfredi was a character from Guys and Dolls, just a big caricature, and then all of a sudden we're feeling. It's like, oh, wait, he's a buddy of Howard Stark's. And we even feel sorry for him at the end.
Yeah.
Because he saved Whitney, but, she's stuck in this world.
Yeah.
Right. Speaking of never coming back, do you think Jack is dead?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a solid hit in the chest. I don't think you get around that.
If you watch that scene carefully at the end, when he's laying on his side, he is shot in the chest. Unless they were
it was like
on the
through
scene,
the sternum.
Yeah, he's dead. Jack's gone. And I think that's why they took the time to give him his redemption in this one.
Time? They didn't give him time for redemption. It was like from the moment he got brain zapped by...
well, no, I'm saying that they took their time in this episode. They made a point of having Peggy say that line, and that's what gave him his redemption. I don't mean they took time to do it. They rushed it right through.
Well, I think his turnaround came back at the time where his memory got wiped. And then all of a sudden, he was instantly back on the team. And I really would have liked to see that done a little more subtly. But he did. He got his redemption, and it went on.
Yeah.
So why give him? Why just resolve it and give him redemption? I guess we're just going to get rid of the character, and he goes to his happy place, being redeemed.
Well, he's got to be out at some point, because if the continuity is there, the point from the short, because I was actually reading about this, that they're still saying that short that was on, what was it, on the Avengers disc?
Right.
That is in continuity. It doesn't make sense with what we're seeing that's in continuity. Okay. But they're saying,
well, because he's a senior agent.
But that would mean Jack would have to be gone. That allows
either
the Whitley Bradford or Bradley Whitford or whatever to step into that role. So now they could actually, what they could do, if they want to keep her out in California, they could make him the director out in New York now that Jack is gone. So it would tie in it would connect those dots where you're like, wait a minute, he's out there in New York, she's in California. Eventually she's going back there and he's going to treat her like low man on the totem pole.
That's true, but then how does she get... I would think it'd make more sense at this point to put her in that position, but that might be too early.
Yeah, but
it's way too early.
But if they were on the bubble with this show, if they said, you know what, we're only going to get 3 seasons at this point, then why not put him in place, put him in New York? He's not affecting her. She's under, what's his name, Limpy the whole time, Sousa.
Right.
But then when she eventually goes back to New York. Maybe she goes back to New York. Maybe the plan is that she and Sousa get married and she can't work in that office any longer. So they say, okay, we're going to live apart during this time period. And that's why she sucks it up, goes to New York, and she's got to deal with this crap.
Yeah, that's true. And that sets you up. That sets you up for the whole, her being the leader.
Right. So, I mean, if they're going to keep that in continuity, something has to happen to put Bradley Whitford in New York as the person she has to answer to. And that the New York scene has to be, it's actually probably smart that she is in California, because that office will have changed dramatically while she was gone, if she's gone for a couple of years.
Right. Which justifies the whole LA move.
Yeah. We totally got this show solved.
Why is this shakeup? Why did this happen? And you go back to where, it explains everything. You don't have to explain anything. She goes back. It's a different office.
Right. And that's why she's low man. And she goes out there, and that short may have taken place, a month after she got back to New York.
Right.
She gets treated like crap for a month. And then Howard Stark calls and goes, you know what? Dum Dum Dugan and I have decided, we're going to help you start up S.H.I.E.L.D. Because S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't exist yet either. And that moment is when S.H.I.E.L.D. starts.
That's true.
Yeah, but I think I don't see her being director of S.H.I.E.L.D. for 40 years. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but she is. She is, man,
But she's not.
But she is, because in that short, he made her director of S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, but we don't know what time that is. We don't know what time that is.
Not that much older. She wasn't like 50-year-old Peggy at that point. It was still in that time period.
Right. So is it, it's got to be less than 5. It's got to be more than 1, because we still have yet to get to that point. And I think Rob's right. I think we go back to New York.
I think Rob's right, too.
I know. I can't believe I actually said that.
I've known Jack for 40 years. It's the first time I think he said that.
I'm never going to say that, but I think 5 to 7 years could still happen. Like, that she can look the same in that age group. Like it doesn't have to be, because, like, here's the other thing. Like, we have to know that Tony Stark also has this authority and power eventually. Like, he's not even thinking about this. Like, how is he going to name her as director of S.H.I.E.L.D. when that doesn't exist? Like, they've got to take over the SSR, and he's got to have some kind of influence over that. So, like, I think we're still far from that. Like, it's not just going to happen overnight or within a year.
I'm not saying it's overnight. I'm saying you keep the show out in California. They could run it for 10 years out in California. When she goes back to New York eventually, that's when Whitley Bradford's in place. Put him in, because now you've got a hole there. Where the first director is out, now we know that Jack was made director. He's out. So you've got a hole there. You could certainly move him in there. And Sousa's not going back to New York to take that position.
Right. And it would, if you're already, like, iffy about the next season, you have to put that in place, I think, next season, to where the beginning of season is where that starts. And maybe at the end is, boom, that's the big cliffhanger is she gets put in charge of the whole thing.
But I don't see her marrying Sousa and leaving him in California while she's out running New York.
Okay, maybe something happens.
I just don't see that happening.
You might be right.
The storyline.
Maybe she goes there. Maybe they have to be separated for a little bit before she marries Sousa. They get separated because they can't have the inter-office romance. She goes back to New York to establish something. Or maybe he gets killed, or who knows? Maybe they break up.
Maybe that's not the husband that we know of.
That's right. There is a husband, but we don't know who it is yet for sure. We're assuming it's Sousa at this point.
I don't think it's going to be him.
Who do you think it's going to be?
I just think it's going to be somebody else. I mean, they've already, maybe not. Maybe we have. Maybe it's Dum Dum Dugan.
Oh. He does have the mighty stash.
All we know is that Cap saved his life. And we never saw Sousa in First Avenger. We did see Dum Dum Dugan.
True.
Yeah, and I think what we didn't see is
when
most.
he lost his leg. he's going to recount the story about how Captain America is the one that pulled him out of there, and that's when we're going to know.
Right. Yeah, I think it's important what we didn't see in the movie, and what we didn't see is who it is. It could be anybody. It could be Susie. It might not be. And, I don't think that discounts what happens to Peggy, because obviously if they make her director of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think she's just the kind of person that is going to go take the opportunity, and maybe they have like a long distance thing. And, I don't think these are only 10 episode things. I don't think they're going to resolve and rectify all those details.
Well, and although we could be right when we're saying it might be a short amount of time, but like I said, it could run for 10 years. That doesn't mean it's 10 years in Peggy Carter time.
Right. It could time jump definitely in the show. I mean, we could go 4 or 5 years from now the next season.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think, I don't know. I think you'd have to really be doing a gamble to assume that this thing is going to go into 7, 8, or 9 more seasons.
Right.
We barely got through 2, and all of a sudden, maybe because of the jump and the way it rocketed, maybe that isn't easy for 3. But I mean, man, we got to get past 3 before we start talking about seasons 7, 8, and 9.
I really do hope that they do something really dramatic next season. I hope that they do go with that, like either the not necessarily the noir thing, but something where there's a real meaty story. They could keep the flavor of the show that they had in these last 3 episodes, but give us a really good story that's not just like, oh look, we think it's a Marvel character. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And we're not all fire sure that we didn't get one. But I said last time, they do this. They get so close to the actual Marvel character without actually getting there. And I think they did that again.
Yeah.
But they still could. I mean, the whole thing where she covered her face and now she's scratching it to try and get that thing back. Whenever she does kind of get her psyche back, yeah, she's going to need something to cover up that face.
Yeah. She's going to need the mask. Well, maybe that's it, Alil. You said we didn't see the mask and it's disappointing, but maybe that's just it. When she comes back, it's all mask because she ripped her face up.
Right. Yeah, nobody's gonna want to see the rose scarred face.
Although I'm still disappointed that they didn't make the what's her face Madam Mask in season 2. Because it's funny, I was on my flight to Boston today. I got to watch 3 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I was like reminiscing. I was like, I remember these. it was the 3 toward the end of last season with the Inhumans and stuff, and I was just like, man, like they had it here. They left so many nuggets open for her to be Madam Mask, for War to be Taskmaster. I'm like, man, and now you are making him Hive. I'm like, man, it's just
yeah.
I think Taskmaster would have been so much better because I don't know. Having
it would have.
Yeah, but we also know that since then we found out that they got the rights back to Taskmaster. So maybe they were working on that, and since they didn't have the rights, they said, you know what, let's go another route.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be just been bad timing.
Yeah, but you still could have dragged it out another year with him being who he is and not calling him the Taskmaster. I mean, because I'm sitting there on the plane and I'm rewatching these because I haven't gone back after we record a show. Like I don't go back and watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. really at all. Not that it's anything bad. It's just I got too much to do.
Right.
And so I'm watching these episodes and like Ward
like Full
literally
House, man.
says right there
to watch.
Fuller House. I do. So
Fuller House. Didn't they change the name of it to Fuller Sweater this time? All right, moving right ahead.
Oh man.
That was like, when you do a maze and you get going and then all of a sudden you realize you're hit this dead end and you got to go all the way back. That's how I feel right now.
Yeah, me too.
I like how we interrupted Alil and he's completely lost his train of thought. Can you get it back, Alil?
I can't remember the quote now. I had it on the tip of my tongue. It was basically he called himself like a mercenary or something. He's a mercenary for hire. And I'm like thinking, I'm watching that, and I'm like, you weren't supposed to be Taskmaster. You were supposed to be Taskmaster.
I still think you were right about that. I think we might be right. About the whole thing of they just didn't have the rights. Maybe they didn't get it secured in time. I'm telling you,
possibly
there is something there, because I have gone back and watched a couple episodes here and there. It's on, like, I not the whole thing, but I did watch through a few key things before this season even started. And I'm telling you, that's why I got so convinced it was Taskmaster. Everything was pointing that way.
Yeah, and then you watch and you see how good Ward is in the field. Like, he takes down everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, not many agents do that. I mean, I know we know, Coulson and May and that, because that's, they're the lead characters of the show. But I mean, you see like Ward literally taking down everybody, and like when he goes in, everyone goes down.
Would you remember Jack in the very first episode, like at the very beginning of Nuff said, we were saying he is like James Bond.
Right.
He's not, he makes a mistake, doesn't matter. He's still taking everybody out. So, Alil, you're right, man. We were calling that in the very first episode of this show.
Yeah, I think it limits what he can do now, because now he's just all bruised and slurpy, where before I really kind of...
Gross.
He's slurpy. What does that mean?
That's so gross, man.
Well, it is. I mean, he looks gross. The Penguin, when they redid Batman and Danny DeVito was the Penguin, and what was the black stuff coming out of his mouth? In what comic or TV or movie did the Penguin ooze slime out of his mouth? And now, it's going to be Hive. I mean, they're going to have whatever that ooze is inside him that came from the other planet. I don't know. But I really would have liked to see him as Taskmaster, like the guy that keeps Hydra in order. Like, if you're not up to par, he's the guy that goes out and kicks everybody's behind. And I don't know. But like you say, it just might be just bad timing. They just didn't have access to the character, and now they do. And
which is also why they decided not to do that with Madame Mask, because it's like, you know what, this doesn't make sense to make her Madame Mask, so let's just burn this character. We're going to go ahead and go with this Hive storyline that nobody knows we're doing, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Could be.
Possibly.
I don't know, I'm not convinced that we're done with Madame Mask, but at least we know that that Ward has a place, and I think that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad Ward is on. I think that's going to be really cool. And like you said, Alil, I mean, the guy is a monster in the field. Making Hive, be this literal monster, but have those skills makes it really a big threat. I dig it.
Yeah, definitely.
So what else in this episode? We've talked a lot about the ending. I mean, I just think it was fun overall. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to highlight. Oh, I actually do have something that we didn't hit on. One of my favorite moments, once again, it's a Howard Stark moment, when he was hitting golf balls and trying to hit him into the rift. That was that was so like, I'm like, totally Howard Stark, totally, Tony would do the same thing. I just loved that whole thing and how he couldn't admit that he just sucked at golf.
Well, and I don't think it was the fact that he sucked. I think the gravitational pull. It wasn't the thing. It was the gravitational pull that was obviously kind of hooking and pushing stuff around. But my favorite part of that is Jarvis comes up and says something to the effect of, "We're looking at one of the most powerful things in the universe, and you're using it as an opportunity to work on your golf drive," and just seems a little ridiculous.
Yes,
but there's a perfect Howard Stark moment.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. I did like that whole thing. Although, you know what else was kind of weird? This isn't a criticism, because I like I said, I have nothing but praise for this episode, really, when it boils down to it. I had such a good time with it. But what's his name? His first name is now Aloysius, we found out. Sudsy, or whatever his name is.
Oh, yeah.
He kept disappearing in this episode. So I thought something was going to come out that he was, he was up to shenanigans. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought that's the route they were going to go. But they never revealed anything. Now, maybe in the future that'll happen. We'll find out that he's working for Frost, which is possible. Or that he's working for Red. Or maybe he's the one that showed up and shot Jack at the end. What if
Ooh.
what if they do a reveal and they pull the camera up and we see it's his face? I mean, it would seem a little weird, but then, if they could retcon that pretty easily where you go, wait a minute.
It's hard to say. I don't know what's his name? He disappeared, but I like the fact that he could come back because he was a good character.
Red?
But
Red? Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I really enjoyed his character. He's a great actor. He's done a lot of good stuff. The only conflict is you can't really run, the SSR with him at the helm because it's just too dirty.
Yeah.
Right.
You just really can't have any confidence in that. You eliminate that, and we can have confidence that Sousa and Peggy can kind of go up the ladder, and Peggy has somewhere to go because otherwise the SSR is just another Hydra or the Council of Nine.
But it kind of is though. But it kind of is, I mean, like it ends up being that, so we know that. And we know that the infiltration started during this period.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes, we know, but they're always infiltrating. But I think it's destructive to have it too much at this point, just because why invest anything into that group? Why would Peggy and Sousa even stay if they knew that this was corrupt at the highest level? And I mean, there's always going to be corruption, and we know that Hydra has infiltrated, agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., for a long, long time. And in fact, so much so that they completely destroyed the organization from within. However, I think this just resolves that whole thing, at least for a long while.
Yeah.
You have to have a good guy and a bad guy, and the SSR just can't be like part of the bad guy. Just at this point, I don't think. I think he's gone, but we didn't see him.
Yeah, you're right.
Gone.
We definitely didn't see him, so it could be him, or it could be Aloysius. Could be either one of them, because he has a bone to pick with these guys anyway. He was so hurt that they didn't respect him, and he kept disappearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why would he want Peggy's file? I mean, that's the thing, though. This is about Peggy's file, so this has got to be something tied to what she did in the war.
But Alil, it doesn't mean that he wants Peggy's file. It could be that he's being told to get that file. You go in there, you take it.
And how many other people other than Jack and Red and Peggy? Those are the only three people we saw that knew about that file. I mean, other than somebody had, obviously FOIA came out, Freedom of Information Act, which I don't even know if it existed back then. But okay, they got the file; it was all redacted.
It didn't,
but only. But here's the thing: there's a very, very limited number of people that even know that file exists, and so that really, to me, kind of points a lot to Red.
Yeah, I think it's Red.
Yeah,
I
think he's gonna come back.
I think it sounds solid.
The pool is too small.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be him, but he's not gonna come back in the same capacity that he once was because of probably his injuries, or maybe he has some of the zero matter.
True.
They think that she absorbed it all, but maybe he's got some now.
Or seriously disfigured, and he becomes some other character.
Maybe he's Taskmaster. Somebody needs to be Taskmaster.
I don't know. I don't see him in that role.
No, I'm joking.
Because he's more like the politician, kind of, rather than the actual.
Maybe he turns
Ward
into
would have been
Senator
so
Stern.
perfect.
That was terrible. That didn't work.
We need to get Ward back on the show just to talk to him about that.
He won't say anything. He'll want to talk about toys.
Well, that's okay. Yeah,
all right.
I've got this really great toy. It's Taskmaster. Do you identify with that at all, Ward?
No, I don't know what you mean. But I am wearing a skull mask right now. Oops. So, all right. Did we talk this out? Because I want to go on to a couple things.
I'm out.
Sure.
All right. Well, so Gambit was canceled, or at least schedule's taken out. Then Fox has put 2 new Marvel movies on its plate. I'm sure one of them has got to be Deadpool 2, right? It would make sense. Well, what do you think the other one is? You're thinking one of them is not Deadpool 2?
I mean, they could make the sequel to Deadpool 2, it could be New Mutants, or it could be I had it on the tip of my tongue. I forgot what it would be. X-Force.
X-Force? Yeah. See, I don't think they're going to do X-Force. I know that they're developing New Mutants. They've talked about that, but I have a feeling we're going to get Deadpool 2, and then, you know what, maybe New Mutants would be the way to go. They got to do something. They're going to be in trouble with their continuity issues with the X-Men franchise. So after Apocalypse, they might want to cool it on X-Men, do these side story things, maybe introduce a new team like New Mutants, so that we get a little bit more on track with stuff.
So why does it get them off track?
What do you mean?
What you were saying about X-Men.
Well, they've got a problem. The biggest problem they have is Wolverine. At the end of the last one, they flashed forward, and we saw that they were all the old ones, the old actors from the original X-Men movies. And right. Wolverine is the same age through the whole thing. It's the same actor through the whole thing. He's not going to be Wolverine much longer. So they have a problem there. They also have kind of goofed up when they showed that flash forward and they had Cable. Or they didn't have Cable. Who did they have in that? Alil, who was that? I can't remember who it is. They had a couple of them in there that are from the future, and they need to. They're like X-Force people. Like if they're going to keep this all this continuity and all this stuff tied together, they've really got to do a little house cleaning and do the Marvel thing and kind of put it all in order. At least that's what I think.
Yeah, but that's not the Fox way. I mean, I think they can finagle around with a weak continuity like they have been. I mean, I'm not getting the same argument I did 2 nights ago with Sean on my podcast about this. We started yelling at each other.
You guys did talk about. I actually didn't make it through that part. So you guys were arguing about how this works, because I don't want to get into the nuts and bolts of it. I just think they have a problem. I've thought this at the end of that last movie. I thought they had a problem, even though so did he, and he says the same thing. Like, all this stuff doesn't make sense. How it's going to connect? Nobody knows how Apocalypse is going to connect. Like, why have these characters in Apocalypse when some of these characters belong in New Mutants, X-Force type movies? These characters, like, if it's in the 80s, how are they going to join Deadpool in today, 20 plus years later? Yeah. Although
and that was our argument, and I was like, well,
you know what? There is the idea that maybe they don't care. Maybe they just kind of let it be. They understand that this is a big hodgepodge of things, and they're just going to go like, you know what? We're going to make the best we can out of it, but it's almost like a multiverse.
Yeah, I more than likely that's what they're going to do, because I don't think they care as much as we do about this stuff.
Yeah, that could be. All right, well, if it's my vote, we know it's not. You do Deadpool 2, you do New Mutants, because I loved those New Mutant books. I was a big fan of those when that series first hit. Did you guys ever read those?
No, I never read them.
I really liked them. I thought they were really cool. I really liked the mutants that they introduced. I thought they were really unique. Now X-Men has, every type of mutant ever, but that team was just really different to me, and I really dug it. So I've been waiting for that to happen. We'll see if it does.
It might. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I do think X-Force is happening because of Deadpool. I mean, Deadpool broke 300 million. I mean, it's in the top 50 highest grossing domestic films of all time. So
yeah.
It's gonna happen, and I think they're going to abuse Deadpool at this point. He will end up being in everything.
Yeah, I hope they don't, but I think you're right.
No, they're going to. I mean, they've got it. They think they've got everybody on the hook, and they're going to, just like they did with Wolverine, just throw Hugh Jackman in everything.
Yeah, he's their new Wolverine.
Yep, he's the new Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds.
All right. Well, I kind of hope that's not the case, but I think you're probably right because of how Fox plays it.
Yeah.
Marvel MCU has made movies without Tony Stark in them.
Yeah. They've made movies without any Avengers in them and still have done well.
Still got it right.
Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, they still can get it right. And they took, they had the Falcon in Ant-Man, but he's not a draw.
No.
So interesting.
That was more connectivity, I think, to let people know that this is in that universe,
right.
Rather than just a name drop. Like, hey, here's Falcon for 30 seconds, and we're gonna make a funny joke with him at the end. But he is here. This is what Ant-Man can do.
Well, I also think the reason they did that is, I always was a Falcon fan. I think it's a great character. They're not going to make a Falcon movie. Just not going to happen.
You don't think so? I think so.
I don't think so. Not unless, wait, Alil, not unless they go the route where he becomes Captain America. I think that would be a fantastic way to go.
Well, it might not be a Falcon movie by itself, because even if he's Cap, I think he's going to have somebody else with him. But I can see a Cap Falcon movie, and I can see it being Bucky, Cap, and Falcon.
I could see that, but it's not going to be it's just like they've done with Black Widow. Now, Black Widow, I'm still holding out hope that they do it right and they do a Black Widow film. That's what I want to see happen. But, and I would love it to be Falcon, but I bet you get more like you had with Cap too, where Falcon and Cap are the team through the whole thing, or Falcon and Bucky. Maybe that's what they do. Maybe if they kill, Captain America, they kill Chris Evans off at the end of Infinity War, then they do another Captain America movie with one of the two of them, Bucky maybe as Cap, and he's teamed up with Falcon the whole time.
Infinity War?
Whatever it is. What's the one where he's going to die? He's going to die in this next one, right?
Maybe. We can't spoil it. Come on. People don't want to be spoiled.
I'm guessing.
Well,
come on.
God. Probably.
But isn't that what they... Right. But isn't that what they were doing at the end of when they at the end of the movie where they showed the death scene where they were looking at the future and Iron Man, they kind of intimate that it's Iron Man's fault that Cap is dead.
Yeah, but that's because of what he did. It's not like his fault because they were all on basically. That was all leading up to Thanos. So I don't think that was anything to do with Civil War.
Yeah, right. But doesn't that kind of, I don't know, doesn't that kind of give you something to that, though? Was it something in his head, or was it actually telling the future?
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't know yet. We don't know yet. But I don't think that was telling the future as much as it was setting up all the potential that Thanos can do, because like I said, I believe that's even a poster like that or like a page from a comic, like seeing all the Avengers lying at the feet of Thanos in his chair right there or something like that.
Yeah, there is. And there's a picture of that.
Yeah, see, so I think it was more kind of just foreshadowing Infinity War and the gems and everything, but I don't think that had anything to do with Civil War.
It could be. I just think it's a heck of a scene to set up when Civil War is so close.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I don't know.
All right, now we're just in speculation mode. I am going to end it because we are coming back later in the week with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's back.
We are? What?
Yeah.
What?
I'm excited.
Yes.
So I'm going to end this thing. Let's give social media. Alil, you go first. Lay it out there. Where can people get in touch with you, and what else you got going on?
All right, people can get in touch with me at Instagram at the League of Geeks, Alil, Geeks with a Z. On Twitter at LOGEEKZ for the League of Geeks podcast. On Facebook at the League of Geeks podcast. On our website at theleagueofgeeks.com. And again, this is all Geeks with a Z.
Fantastic. Jack?
And that's all I've got.
All right.
Twitter is at Wengrosky. I'm involved with Melissa Maxey with the Blacklist podcast. And, man, she's really on top of it. I mean, we've got Facebook, the Instagram. I mean, we've got like 5,000 followers. It's just something ridiculous. You guys are rocking
the house, man. Or I should say Melissa is.
So, yeah, she's rocking it. I mean, that's like her thing. I mean, she started with the a fan club from another thing, and man, we've just got so much attention from that. So go to the Blacklist Pod for that, Facebook, and go listen to the show. And I think that's about it for now.
All right.
For me.
And then obviously for me, you can email to southgatemediagroup@gmail.com. Go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. This show is /Nuff Said Podcast. Sign up for our email list. We are finally getting that whole thing together. If you go to the website, just says sign up for our email, get on there, because we are going to communicate a different message through our email than we are through our social media. So you definitely, if you want to be in the know, you definitely want to get on that email list. We have lots of big things coming up. We've got some video stuff we're talking about for this show. We've got video stuff in general. We have a YouTube channel, Southgate Media Group. Check it out. And you can find links, once again, at the website. One thing I want to point out there, we have started putting past episodes of shows up. So there is now like a feed on there for Biters, which is our Walking Dead show. If you want to check that out on YouTube, we've started putting Fandom Zone. The new episodes of Fandom Zone are on there. That show is fantastic if you haven't checked it out. I think starting this week, we're going to go back and put all the Agent Carters on, and then we're going to go back and start a project where we're going to put the Nuff Saids from the beginning as videos on that feed. So you definitely want to check us out on YouTube and subscribe there. Please rate us, review us. We're pretty weak on the reviews, man. They're all positive, but we only have like 36 reviews or something. We need reviews. So if you're a fan, go to iTunes, rate us, review it. It really helps us and it helps other people find the show. And you can follow me on Twitter @rsouthgate. You can follow the show @NuffSaidPod, and we're on Instagram and everywhere else. Let's call it. That's it. I think I'm done talking it out. Nuff said.
Enough said.